Prabhuji, if you can come forward, otherwise there is a lot of space here. Matajis don't have any space left there. Please come forward on this side.
Those of you who are spaced out, spaced in. Those of you who are spaced in, spaced
Be in
out.
India. No. You sit in this very compact place.
Let's make it easy.
Get this out of the way. Yeah.
Haribol. Please forward. Please come forward.
There's some room here. If you want to move up a little bit. Move the drum out of there. Put the drum on the top. There's no vegetarians, so don't worry. Ladies, come on in. It's the equal opportunity employer here.
Mataji, please settle down quickly.
Mataji. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
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 Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
So this verse is from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela, chapter 7, verse number 74. The chapter is entitled Lord Chaitanya and Five Features. Please listen to this verse. It's very short, but it's the essence of all verses. Nama, you can also repeat. Nama Vina Kali Kale.
Nama Vina Kali Kale.
Nahi Ara Dharma.
Nahi Ara Dharma.
Sarva Mantra Sarva Nama.
Sarva Mantra Sarva Nama.
Hey Shastra Marma.
Jai Shastra Mama.
Nama Vina Kali Kale.
Nama Vina Kali Kale.
Seventh chapter.
Dharma.
Nahi Ara Dharma.
Sarva Mantra Sarva Nama.
Sarva Mantra Sarva Nama.
Hey Shastra Marma.
Jai Shastra Mama.
Nama. The holy name. Vinu. Without. Kali Kale. In the age of Kali. Nahi. There is none. Ara. Or any alternative. Dharma. Religious principle. Sarva. All. Mantra. Hymns. Sara. Essence. Nama. The holy name. A. This is. Shastra. Reveals scriptures. Marma. Purport. Translation. Please listen. In this age of Kali, there is no religious principle other than the chanting of the holy name, which is the essence of all Vedic hymns. This is the purport of all scriptures. Please repeat. In this age of Kali, there is no religious principle other than the chanting of the holy name, which is the essence of all Vedic hymns. This is the purport of all scriptures. The principle of the Parampara system was strictly honored in previous ages, Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, and Dwapara Yuga. But in the present age, Kali Yuga, people neglect the importance of the system of Shrauta Parampara, or receiving knowledge by disciplic succession. In this age, people are prepared to argue that they can understand that which is beyond their limited knowledge and perception through so-called scientific observations and experiments, not knowing that the actual truth comes down from authorities. This argumentative attitude is against the Vedic principles. It is very difficult for one who adopts it to understand the holy name of Krishna is as good as Krishna himself. Since Krishna and his holy name are identical, the holy name is eternally pure, and beyond material contamination. It is the Supreme Personality of Godhead as a transcendental vibration. The holy name is completely different from material sound as confirmed by Narottam Das Thakur, Golokera Premadan Harinam Shankirtan. The transcendental vibration of Harinam Sankirtan is imported from the spiritual world. Thus, although materialists who are addicted to experimental knowledge and so-called scientific method cannot place their faith in chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, it is a fact that simply by chanting Hare Krishna Mantra offenselessly, one can be free from all subtle and gross material conditions. The spiritual world is called Vaikuntha, without anxiety. Is there anybody here without anxiety? And if you are, you're in the spiritual world. In the material world, everything is full of anxiety. Kunta, where in the spiritual world, Vaikuntha, everything is full of anxiety. Everything is free from anxiety. The anxiety is who can serve Krishna the best, and that's the spiritual anxiety. Therefore, those who are afflicted by a combination of anxieties cannot understand the Hare Krishna mantra, which is free from all anxiety. In the present age, the vibration of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is the only process that is in a transcendental position beyond material contamination. Since the holy name can deliver a conditioned soul, it is explained here to be Sarva Mantra Sara, the essence of all Vedic hymns. A name that represents an object of this material world may be subjected to arguments and experimental knowledge. But in the absolute world, the name and its owner, the fame and the famous are identical, and similarly the qualities, pastimes, and everything else pertaining to the absolute truth are also absolute. Although Mayavadis profess monism, they differentiate between the holy name of the Supreme Lord and the Supreme Lord himself. For this offense of Namapara, they gradually glide down from the exalted position of Brahmagyan, and this is confirmed in Bhagavatam, Aruna Krishna Padam Padam Tata Patantiyada Padriti Yusma Aham Rayaha. Although by severe austerities, referring to the Mayavadis, they rise to the exalted position of Brahmagyan, they nevertheless fall down to their imperfect knowledge of the absolute truth. Although they profess to understand Vedic mantra, Sarva Kala Idam Brahman, from the Chandogya Upanishads, which means everything is Brahman, they are unable to understand that the holy name is also Brahman. If they regularly chant the Maha Mantra, however, they can be relieved of this misconception. Unless one properly takes shelter of the holy name, I'll read that again, unless one properly takes shelter of the holy name, he cannot be relieved of the offensive stage in chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And again, Timirandasya Gnanajana Sivakarya Chakshurumaritamya Lakshmi Sri Gurave Namaha Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Swamitramya Swami Rupa Vidamayam Devaki Vandeham Guru Shita Prabhavam Shri Vaishnavasya Shri Rupam Sarvajatam Sahagana Sarvaitam Savadutam Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Shri Vishakam Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatli Bhutani Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Antipopa Krishna, Sulu Puripasha, Yanam Bhavebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So this verse kind of illustrates the essence of all the Vedic scriptures. And of course, it enunciates the process of pure devotional service in this age. As it was mentioned, in every age, there is a means for self-realization, as designated by Vedic scriptures. But in this age, people don't follow any kind of scripture. They usually read scriptures and interpret it their own ways, or they come up with their own meanings of scripture and then propagate that as the understanding. There's a lot of what we call mental, not philosophical, speculation about the absolute truth and the process for realizing the absolute truth. But everything is clear because Lord Chaitanya made it simple. And he emphasized the something that is the highest, but at the same time is so simple. And that is to glorify the Lord. Satam kapasangam mamavirya samvido, Lavanti Ritkarna Rasayana Kata. That one who congregates with others and hears and chants the glories of the Lord, they become happy. They become nourished spiritually. Their minds and hearts become free from material anxiety, and they also experience the presence of the Lord in transcendental sound. So this is the process. And he emphasized the chanting of the holy name, which is when you go into the Vedas itself, the Vedas are divided into two categories. One is called Shruti, and the other one is called Shruti. Shrutis are actually the Vedas, the four Vedas. The Shmitis are the commentaries on the Vedas for us to understand according to time, place, and circumstance. So the Shmitis we can somehow or other approach, but the Shrutis are so difficult. You really, really have to be what we call a Paka Brahman, to use a very simple word, to understand the Shrutis. They're very, but Lord Brahma gives a statement in the Shrutis which sort of clarifies all of the misconceptions about the process in this age. He says, Iti sodastakam namna kali kama sanasanam nata paratayo payo sarva vedashu drishyate. After searching through all Vedic knowledge, one cannot find a more easier, sublime, and direct method of self-realization than the chanting of these 16 names, Iti Sodasakam Namna. And then it ends, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And so this is from Kali Santara Upanishads. Now the Upanishads are considered to be the Shrutis. So we can accept that as an absolute principle. Jai. Roses. I don't like the color. If I could count all the garlands I ever did, I would create a new number. We got so many garlands that I don't. Prabhupada said, flowers are Krishna's smile. Good. Flowers, when you see a flower, you feel there's a happiness, there's a feeling of lightness within the heart. And when the flower is so beautiful. Prabhupada said they're Krishna's smile. Prabhupada said flowers take birth in order to get picked, in order for the Krishna. And if that flower is fortunate, he considers himself the flower of the flowers. The happiest flower. Because they're all living entities also. So this chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is something that has to be practiced. And to get the mercy of the holy name, in order to chant the holy name, one has to approach the holy name through the giver of the holy name, and that is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So therefore, we worship Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as, of course, the incarnation in this age, which brings about the means for self-realization. But also, we worship him as the one who teaches the process of self-realization in this age. And it's chanting. So you might say, well, this verse seems to think all we have to do is chant, right? There's nothing else to do. But it says you have to chant properly. You have to chant free from offense. And how to approach that offenseless stage of chanting means the process of bhakti. So one cannot dismiss the other activities of bhakti that are given by Krishna, by Guru, and by the Parampara, and simply chant. That's somewhat pretentious, unless you have already perfected the chanting. But perfecting the chanting, there's different stages of perfecting. The stage that we have to really work with is to clear away the mood of offenses. And we all know the 10 offenses. We recite them every day in our temples. But there's the 11th offense, which is very fundamental to freeing ourselves from the 10 offenses. Why is it fundamental? It's explained by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. By chanting attentively, you will avoid the other offenses. So therefore, he says, put your attention here. Try to develop attentive chanting. And that's not easy. Chanchala himana Krishna amati balavadrika tasyaham migramanye vairidam siduskaram. Krishna, Arjuna is speaking this verse to Krishna. You're asking me to control the mind, but I think it's easier to control the wind. It's impossible. It's restless, unsteady, turbulent. Now Krishna listens, and then he says, Abhyasena tu kunteya vairagya chagriyate, that if you practice. So we have to practice chanting. Some people say that the more you practice, the better you get. And actually, that's true. But that practice has to be coupled with the process of bhakti. As Prabhupada said, if you think you can just simply chant Hare Krishna, then you're cooking with smoke. He said it'll take 300 years to cook your lunch. So you have to follow, you have to read Nasta Prayesha Abrajesha Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhakti Bhagavati Naistiki. One has to hear regularly the teachings coming from Srimad Bhagavatam, which are the words of Krishna and the pure devotees, glorifying the process of devotional service and the position of Sri Krishna. The more we learn about Krishna through scripture and through Guru's statements, the easier it becomes to approach the holy name. That knowledge inspires one in the process of chanting, and at the same time purifies you from material contamination. So Srimad Bhagavatam, in particular, out of all of the scriptures, is fundamental. Therefore, the verses Nastapra Abhiri Nityam Bhagavatam, every day one should hear the message of Srimad Bhagavatam from those who are qualified to speak. And of course, if we read Srila Prabhupada's books, then we can also understand. But then again, sometimes things become a little bit elusive. Although we're reading, we're not always clearly understanding. Therefore, it says, Bodhiyantas parasparam, tatyantam nivahitamam nityam tushyanti cha, ramanti cha. We have to discuss it, hear about it, talk about it, try to understand deeper, and learn the process of how to apply this knowledge in our day-to-day life. Application of the knowledge brings about realization of the knowledge. When we simply hear it, we are planting the seed, but the seed is growing by hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord, and that's when that seed fructifies, then we can start to realize that knowledge. What is that fructification? The application, and that's given to us by the spiritual master. How to apply this knowledge, where we actually can understand it and not simply, when we say memorize it. Memorization is good because this knowledge is transcendental, but when we apply it, it becomes part of you. Why does it become part of you? Because it is part of you. The soul is already Sat Chit Ananda. Excuse me. When we already have this knowledge that is there within our actual spiritual essence, in other words, within the soul, So when we hear it from the outside, it's cutting away the coverings that are covering the realization of that knowledge. And as we hear that, these coverings go. In other words, by hearing regularly, one becomes purified. And the purification brings about realization. And realization brings about understanding of the process of bhakti and attachment to an attraction for the Supreme Lord, which is the prelude for how we say, the success of bhakti, which is to develop love for Krishna, prema pumartha. Excuse me. Mahan, prema pumartha Mahan, is the goal of Krishna consciousness. The goal is not simply to have what are some of the secondary goals? Secondary goals, if they lead to the primary goal, are also acceptable. But sometimes we get stuck on the secondary goal. That I finally got a good position. I became a temple leader. Oh, I'm successful. Hare Krishna. In other words, when we look for some kind of gratuitous reciprocation for our devotional services in terms of something secular or material or organizational, that's not actually a goal. That's just an opportunity to serve. That's all it is. The more position you have, the more you have to serve. The more you have to qualify yourself to serve in such a way as to benefit others. So every position in Krishna consciousness is an opportunity to serve. And the more responsibilities you have, the more chances you get to make advancement by serving the mission, by serving the spiritual master, by serving the Vaishnavas especially. So it's all about service. And the chanting of the holy name inspires us in the service and in the association of devotees. Everything is there in the holy name. The holy name is not different than Krishna. And there's so many verses that illustrate that. One from Padma Purana. What is that verse? Nama Chintamani Krishna Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Punya Sudya Nitya Mukta Abhinato Namanam. Vinna means different. Abhina means same. Not different. Name and he whose name is the same. You can't find that anywhere else, only on the spiritual platform, where the name of the object and the object is non-different. On the material world, everything we see is in relationship to something. We cannot understand something unless we understand its opposite. But in the absolute platform, there's no question of opposite. Everything is in its pure spiritual essence. So Krishna's name is Krishna, Krishna's form is Krishna, Krishna's qualities are also non-different than him, and particularly Krishna's pastimes. So when we connect with any one of these, we're connecting with Krishna fully. But in this age, the emphasis has been given on the holy name as the essence of all practice. And so we chant Hare Krishna, but have we developed the eagerness to chant? We see it simply as an opportunity to fulfill my spiritual master's instruction to chant 16 rounds, or do we look forward to chanting every day? Are we eager to sit down or to chant our rounds and to go deeper into that chanting and try to, what we say, experience the presence of Krishna in the chanting of the holy name, because he's non-different from that same name. So there has to, when that eagerness comes, then that's an indication you're making advancement. Otherwise, you think, oh, 16 rounds, like climbs, like now I have to climb Mount Kilimanjaro with a backpack. Oh, no. And some people think, and devotees sometimes think, I could do so many things during that time and get so many things done. So if I do that, I'm more productive, right? This is called what? Mode of passion. Mode of passion means we look for results by activities. But the mode of goodness means we become purified by the activities. And that is the higher result, because as purification comes, knowledge comes. detachment comes and attraction to Krishna becomes stronger and stronger. So this chanting it takes our consciousness outside of the material energy and brings us in connection with Krishna personally. That's why it's emphasized among all of the processes of devotional service. And the holy name also protects us from what we say, the attacks of the spirit, the material energy. Maya, the external energy, is there to attract us in one form or another to engage in her service. But in the holy name, when you chant regularly, you start becoming aware of how Maya is working, and you can see all of her, what we say, seductive attempts to bring your consciousness away from Krishna. So therefore, the holy name is also, they say, antiseptic, purifying, prophylactic, protective. It protects against the onslaught of the material energy. There was one story in our ISKCON society where two devotees were asked by Srila Prabhupada, this was in 1972, 71, to go to Bangladesh during the Bangladesh war. Two sannyasis, and Prabhupada sent them there to preach. And this was in the middle of the war. So after some time, the war was increasing, and Prabhupada got a little concerned, so he'd start sending letters to bring them back. But because of the breakdown of communications, they weren't getting it. And so it was getting a little bit more dangerous. And some of the people who were also following, they said, you better leave because now it's becoming very, very life-threatening. So the Islamic army, who were in control, at least partially, were arranging buses for refugees to leave. And anyone who wanted to leave, they got on the bus and they could leave. So these two sannyasis got on the bus. And then they were driving, they got to the border, and then they were stopped by the Islamic army. And then they saw that there was two sadhus, Hindus, and they pulled them off the bus and put them in front of a firing squad. And they were about to shoot them. This one was Brahmananda, and the other one, I'm not sure, it was either Pusta Krishna or his brother Gargamuni. It was Gargamuni. And so Brahmananda, when he was standing there, he had his beads, and he held his beads up high in the air, and he started chanting as loud as he could. And he also said, hey, we're going back to Godhead, we're going back to Godhead. And so the other sannyasi picked up on it, and they were chanting loudly. And that bewildered the whole Islamic army. So they came and they said, all right, get back on the bus and get out of here. So, do you believe in magic? Krishna's name is that powerful, can protect one even from the most dangerous situation in life. If we actually chant, in other words, seriously, and that means take it as the opportunity to go deeper into our Krishna consciousness and to connect with Krishna personally. And so if you're always remembering Krishna, and the easiest way to remember Krishna is chant Hare Krishna. You can do that anywhere, anytime, any place. In Bengal, they have a saying, Hate Koro Kaje, Mukhi Bolo Huri. Hate Koro Kaje, Mukhi Bolo Huri. Work by your hands, but chant Hare Krishna. So it's not like you have to, you finish your 2-hour job. See you tomorrow. Not like that. No, Satatam Kirtayam Tomam, the scriptures enjoy. One should always remember Krishna. Now, Lord Chaitanya has made the process simple and direct. So practicing chanting Hare Krishna at any time, any place, anywhere. Nam Namakari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis. At any place. There's no rules, there's no regulations, there's no restrictions. Anyone can chant Hare Krishna at any time, anywhere. If you have to chant the Gayatri mantra, there is certain principles that you have to follow in order to actually approach the Gayatri mantra. But the holy name is more merciful. No rules, no regulations. But one should chant with attention, and one should chant as the ultimate principle of worship, especially in this age. So we have been, what we say, given that most precious gift, the transcendental chanting of the holy name of the Lord. That makes the process easy. Easy in one sense, but also at the same time, it requires some effort to make it happen. We have to practice this chanting. Kirtan is there. Everyone likes kirtan. Kirtan fills the atmosphere with the transcendental sound vibration. And you connect with so many sound vibrations of people chanting, and it picks you up to a higher state of consciousness. But japa, you have to work on it. But you can't dispense with japa. There are some people say, well, I'll chant kirtan and count how many times I chant in kirtan. That'll be my 16 rounds. Not exactly. Sounds familiar? No. So japa, what we say, inspires one in kirtan, and kirtan helps us to improve the quality of our japa. Both kind of work together to support each other in the practice of chanting. But we must do both. And we should chant as much as possible. So kirtan is there. And although the holy name is so powerful, nothing can penetrate when one is chanting the holy names of the Lord. We have so many examples. We never use the holy name in the service of the material energy because that's considered to be a breach of etiquette and actually a discretion, or might even say an offense. But sometimes in certain circumstances, like Prabhupada said, when he was a little boy, he was about a year and a half, 2 years old, he was in Calcutta and there was a plague. I think it was a bubonic plague.
It's a plague.
Yeah, it was a very serious plague. And people were dying by the hundreds every day. So nobody could find the cure for it. So one Babaji, he organized Harinam Sankirtan. And he was traveling all over Calcutta, going in and out of the houses and doing kirtan. And Prabhupada said after some time the plague was gone. So, of course, he said we don't use it, but that was an emergency. I had a personal experience when I was preaching in one city in America called Cincinnati, Ohio. I had a little temple there, a little preaching center, and I was trying for my 501c3, the what is it called, tax exempt status. So I hired one lawyer, and the lawyer, he came, he was a nice man, and he came into the temple, we were talking, doing all the paperwork, and he said, you guys seem to be interesting. He said, I'm a disc jockey. I also have a radio show that goes on from 9 a.m. to 12 every day, and it covers 38 states. It's a talk show, and I invite interesting guests. So I would like you to come on. So I said, hey, here's a nice opportunity to chat. So I came, and he was interviewing me, and we were talking about, the similar questions. Why you guys dress like that? Why do you shave your head? Why do we shave our head? Because it keeps you cool. It's all fun. You know what the AC stands for? AC Bhaktivedanta? Always cool. You didn't know that, anyway. So, yeah, so then at one point he said to me, we have these commercials where we have to break the stations, and so I usually play some jingle, but I would like to make the Hare Krishna chant in one of the jingles. I said, can you chant it and I'll record it? And I said, yeah. I did the typical Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. How's that one go again? The typical one we always have. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, not like that, but anyway, something similar. Anyway, I was chanting and he recorded him and he would get on the radio. He was kind of a flippant guy. He would say, "All right, folks, we're gonna break the station with the Hare Krishna jingle." He called it a jingle, he didn't say mantra. So we did that. And then, of course, I ended the show. And then about 3 months later, of course, I also told him I was connected to the New Vrindavan community at the time. So this time he invited me back. And at this particular time, it was a drought in that area. This was in Cincinnati, Ohio. So Ohio, Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee. There was this really severe drought. This was in the year 1987. So he asked me, brought me on the show, and he asked me, could you bring some of the members of the community in New Vrindavan? I said, yeah. So I brought the temple leader, Kirtananda Swami, and a few others. So he was interviewing all of us, and at one point, because the drought was so severe, and they were punishing people who would use water for washing cars, you would get fined. For watering your lawn, you would get fined. If you were wasting water, they would give you a fine. The drought was so severe, farmers' crops were burning up. They tried everything to get rain, but nothing happened. So he said to us, and of course I was sitting in more or less in the background, he said to Kirtan, can you guys make it rain? And immediately he said, yeah. Without even blinking. He almost fell off his chair. He couldn't believe it. He said, there's millions of people out there listening. You guys are going to be known as false prophets. We said, no, we can make it around. We convinced them. He said, how? Well, we're going to chant Hare Krishna, but we want everyone in Radio Land to chant with us. So that means there were millions of people listening. So he got all excited, started pumping up the audience. Come on, chant with the Swami. And then so we were singing and he was encouraging everyone to join in. So this went on for a few minutes and then it stopped. And that was 9:30 a.m. and at 11:30 there was a call from the weather reporter. They roam around in their cars to see what's the skies look like. So he called in and he said, "Hey Bill," his name was Bill. There's some clouds up here. So then the show ended at noon. But at 2:30 that afternoon, there was a downpour and it rained for 3 full days. And so, of course, we got the credit for breaking the drought. We gave the credit to the son of Ada Bhaktivinoda, one of the personalities in radio now. So this Bill got so excited, he went to the mayor of Cincinnati and said we should give them some reward. So they unceremoniously gave us the key to the city, a big styrofoam key. Like this. So we got some reward because if you get the key of the city, that means you're one of them. You're important. You did something to help the people of the area. So that was a situation. We used that as an opportunity to get everyone to chant. That was the idea, to get everyone to chanting the holy name. So we can talk about the glories of the holy name, which is as unlimited as Krishna himself. And especially this particular chapter number 7 in Chaitanya Charitamrita, simply glorifies the whole process of chanting. Prabhupada gave that chapter first before he gave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He gave us CC and he gave us that chapter first in a separate volume, which was called The 5 Features of the Panchatattva. And that was a little book that was printed separately. And then he would speak about that mostly. And then later on, he started to introduce CC in a very systematic way. So that chapter was really, what we say, the essence of Lord Chaitanya's teachings, which is to glorify Krishna by chanting the holy names. And if you study the life of Lord Chaitanya, you see every day he spent hours and hours just chanting. If he would get up in the morning And then after going to the Ganga to bathe, he would come back to his place, take a little prasadam that was offered to the deity, along with many of his associates. Then he would take rest again. And then he would get up and begin the Sankirtan, and this was in mid-morning. They would go on through most of the afternoon, and then they would stop also again to bathe in the Ganga, and then they would also continue. So Lord Chaitanya spent, I could say, more than half of the day just chanting with his disciples, especially in the evening when he would do the nocturnal kirtans where he would chant.
In Srinivas Sagar.
Yeah, in Srimad Sangha, he would chant with his intimate associates. And there's so many wonderful stories of Lord Chaitanya practicing, chanting there. This was a more of a confidential type of arrangement that only those who were, what we say, intimate associates, those who are more considered to be the advanced devotees, could come to this kirtan. No, not everyone was allowed. And Srivas, he was the moderator. He would make sure only those people could come. But one day, one young Brahmin came, and he introduced himself to Srivas, and he had heard about Lord Chaitanya's evening kirtan, so he wanted to see him. Lord and Srivas said, you can't do that. It's very, not everyone can come. But this boy was very austere. He would live only on milk. He drank only milk, nothing else. That was his only food. And so Srivas became a little bit convinced, all right, but don't let Lord Chaitanya see you, have to hide. So Mukunda would begin the singing, and Lord Chaitanya would start dancing. So when he started the dance that night, he stopped after a few moments and he said, is there somebody here that doesn't belong here? And then he called Srivas. Srivas, is there somebody here that doesn't belong here? I don't feel my normal happiness. Well, he said, actually, there is one Brahmin. And he, get him out of here. Immediately became a little bit upset. So the Brahmin ran from his hiding place, fell at the feet of Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya looked at him. He said, do you think you can get Krishna simply by drinking milk? And he started to chastise him. And then the Brahmin was so humble, he simply accepted everything in a very, natural way. And then at one point he turned around and he started to leave. And while he was leaving, he was thinking, boy, I did get to see the Lord's dancing. And then the Lord understood his heart and he called him back. And he called him back, he paid his obeisances again. He said, give up with this idea of drinking milk. and just come and become one of the associates. You can come and associate with us and do kirtan with us. So he became one of, actually, not an intimate associate, but a regular person who was associating with Lord Chaitanya's daily kirtans. Because Lord Chaitanya liked to eat a lot of prasad. That was one of Lord Chaitanya's main emphasis. Chanting, dancing, and feasting. And Lord Chaitanya, he would eat. He's Vishwambar, means one who can eat everything, including the whole universe. And so he always inspired his devotees to take prasad. And the actual process is, as is explained by some of the songs of Bhakti Vinod Thakur, is to sing, dance, you get a little tired, take a little rest, get up, take some prasadam, and then start singing and dancing again. And you get tired again, let's take a little break and take some more prasadam. And forget about sleeping, you just keep doing this. And then if you do it long enough, you go back to Godhead. Very nice process. But maybe it's too much happiness for most of us. And kirtan is there. And here in Charlotte, I notice you have some emphasis on kirtan. That's one of the reasons why I'm attracted to coming here. Very love to do kirtan here. And that's like, I could see that simply when we had our kirtan. Even before I was chanting, when the devotees were chanting, Well, everybody was singing with enthusiasm. Some places I go, it's not like that. You got to tell them, you know, you're supposed to sing, you know. You're also supposed to dance. The Lord Chaitanya emphasized dancing also. He danced a lot. And Prabhupada said, everyone should dance. And he said, if you don't feel like dancing, dance. And then you'll feel like it. It works. It does. When you actually start dancing, and then you start feel like it. Then you don't have to worry about getting inspired. It happens automatically. So this process is so nice. And it's Kali Kale Lama Rupa Krishna Avatar. Krishna brought this process personally in the form of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because in this particular time we live in, it's a very difficult time materially. And Prabhupada said that there's so much, I would say, bad qualities. Then it's mentioned, Kalir Dosha Nidhi Rajan Astiyako. So many bad qualities in this age, but this light, bright light of Lord Chaitanya's movement of chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. But Lord Chaitanya emphasized three things. Namaruchi, chant, and develop a taste for chanting. Associate with and serve Vaishnavas, because by serving Vaishnavas, that is better service, or you might say, when you serve the Vaishnavas, that pleases Krishna more than if you were to try to serve him directly. Because the Vaishnavas are dear to Krishna, and therefore if you serve those who are serving Krishna, you are doing the best of all service. And that's not just relegated to the spiritual master. That's true for anyone who is practicing Krishna consciousness. And the last one is Jiva Doya. Jiva means, of course, living entities, the conditioned living entities, and Doya means compassion or mercy. So give that mercy to the conditioned souls. Where the devotees are not happy, and we're not meant to be happy simply by our own spiritual practice. We cannot be happy simply by that. We can only be happy when we give a chance for others to become Krishna conscious. Then happiness develops naturally because it pleases Krishna so much. Because Krishna comes to do the same work himself, and those who take up the same thing that he does, by being his representative, by giving Krishna to others. And it's not so difficult. It's not that you have to be an erudite preacher and learn so much scriptures. You simply have to be enthusiastic to somehow or other try to reach out to the conditioned souls. When Lord Chaitanya was traveling in South India, he stopped in one place called Kumbhakshetra. And there was one Brahmin there. His name was, he was given the title of the Kurma Brahma. So he was a Paka Brahma, had a family, and he invited Mahaprabhu to stay at his house while he was there in Kumbhakshetra. And the Lord agreed. So for 4 days, the Lord stayed there, and he took care of the Lord so nicely. They cooked for him, they took care of his personal needs, everything, whatever he needed, they were doing, and they would also listen to him when he would speak about Krishna and the process of devotional service. The whole family became so attached to him. But then Lord Chaitanya had to leave after 4 days. And when he wants to leave, he goes. He doesn't get anything done. Nobody cries. They cry, he doesn't. Because he's detached from all of that. He gives his mercy to others. And so he's on his way to continue. So he leaves. Now he's walking away. And the Kurma Brahma is following him. And Lord Chaitanya looked back and said, "Oh, where are you going?" He said, "I'm going with you." He said, "You can't do that. You have your family. You have your responsibility." And then basically he rejected that. And then Lord Chaitanya saw that he wasn't going to go back. So he said, "Actually, if you want to associate with me, you can do that." He said, "By my command, be guru save the land. He said, whoever you meet, tell them about Krishna. Whoever you meet, teach him to chant the Hare Krishna mantra. If you do that, you'll never lose my association. So that's not some euphemism or some idea. If we're actually taking up the mission of Lord Chaitanya by giving Krishna consciousness to others, you're actually associating with Lord Chaitanya directly, Lord Nityananda, because they're here to do the same thing. And they're inspiring us to be their representatives to do it, because as Lord Chaitanya says, it's also in this same chapter, he said, it's actually in chapter 9, he says, I have this storehouse full of beautiful, succulent, tasty fruit, and I want to distribute this fruit, he's talking about love of God, to everyone. I'm tasting this fruit, I'm becoming happy by tasting this fruit, but I'm only one person. I want to distribute it to everyone. So taste it yourself, become nourished by this fruit, and give it to others. Yeah. He was encouraging us, every one of us, to somehow or other be an instrument for the mercy. And when you do that, as he said, you'll never lose my association. And that's again not just a statement, but actually a direct blessing that he's actually so inspired when he sees others taking up Krishna consciousness and trying to help. And you might say, well, I'm not so qualified. The qualification is your desire, that's all. If you have that desire and you develop that desire, Krishna will show you how to do it. And of course, practically speaking, we can do it as a group, or we can do it individually whenever we meet people or whenever we get an opportunity to associate. We can always find time. Just like you might say there might be some new people here tonight. So take some time and introduce them to the process of Krishna consciousness. We have books. We also have many programs coming up. We also, do various types of celebrations according to different holy days in the year. Invite people to take part. And more people that come after a while, they'll also get attracted. I've been doing this online class since the lockdown in 2020 in March. So it's been more than 6 years now. And now so many people have come forward and taken an initiation. They hear about it from their friends or from others. They come online, they listen. We're discussing Bhagavatam every day. We don't miss one day. It's not, we take a break. Sometimes I can't be there, but there's other devotees who also give the classes. But people are coming. So many people have come forward just for initiation, just by that program alone. Just by that program alone. So you can have these, what they call WhatsApp groups. We have our, what is it? Shamagori. She's been doing this program every day since 2009 until the present time. Srimad Bhagavatam, systematically, they're on the 9th canto already. I'm only on the 3rd. But anyway, it's not how much you do. It's that take the Bhagavatam and just discuss it. And people get so many ideas, and it answers a lot of their questions and about their problems. They try to understand how to solve their problems. But when they hear this transcendental knowledge, and a lot of it is about overcoming the difficulties in this material world and being situated in our natural position of devotion to Krishna. And people come and actually take initiation. So there's so many ways that we can inspire people to come to Krishna consciousness. Very nice. You have another two? So many nice tunes. And some of these phone jingles. There was one. Sometimes they have the Hare Krishna mantra. One I saw one. He had a baby crying. That was his thing. So the babies cry. You have to do something, you know. It means you have to answer that phone or shut it off or do something. Anyway, this is not so important. But anyway, the point is that we want to please Lord Chaitanya, and Lord Chaitanya is the means by which we can approach Radha and Krishna at this age. You can't approach Krishna, Radha and Krishna, unless you get the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. There you go. I can't say anything else. Yeah, in this age. So Kali Kalai Nama Rupa Krishna Avatar. This is the age where Nam Sankirtan has become the bright light in this dark age of what we say. So many difficulties. And sometimes people think, well, we're in a difficult situation now. The world's going to hell right now. We don't know that. Economically, politically, socially, and otherwise. And you're thinking it's going to get better. Forget it. It's not. It's only going to get more and more prices on the material level. And that's good because it'll give more people to look around and say, oh, maybe there's a way out of this. And therefore, preaching becomes really good at this particular time. And a lot of people are coming forward and looking for something. We got it. Teach them to chant, give them a book, inspire them to come to our group meetings like that. And after some time, most of them will come back. And those who don't come back immediately will come back later. That's how it usually works. So this is, the holy name is very, what we say, complete. As Prabhupada said, the panacea of all material ills. Enechya Sari Maya, Nasi Badalagi, Harinama Mahamantra, Lal Tuli Magi. Eneche Asaudi. Asaudi means medicine. This is the medicine and the age for all of the problems. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
But chant always. Don't just stop at 16 rounds. Sometimes we like to say that your chanting begins on the 17th round. 16 rounds you have to do. Yeah, so, but when you go beyond that, then it becomes actually an offering to Krishna. Of course, the 16 rounds we're fulfilling the instructions of the spiritual master, and that's essential. But but Prabhupada said, he said 16 rounds. He said, if you're actually chanting Hare Krishna, you'll think, why not 16,000 rounds? And he said, 16 rounds on the beads, innumerable rounds off the beads. So these are statements by Prabhupada. You can't always. And you think, well, how am I going to get anything done if I'm always chanting? You get more done. Because it becomes easy to do whatever you're doing. Krishna always is there. Like sometimes I'm trying to think, what do I have to do next? And I can't think. And then I say, Hare Krishna, and then I got the answer. Like usually one of my problems is when I go someplace or I'm from place to place, I forget things. And so I usually leave something somewhere or I forget to take something. So now I remember before I leave, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Oh, yeah, I got to take that. Happened today, yeah. I'm sitting there, I realized I had to take my phone for recording, I didn't think of it at the time. I had to take my squirt bottle for hand purification, almost forgot that. So, it's simply by connecting with Krishna, knowledge comes. And this is Krishna's mercy. It's Krishna's mercy. He likes to serve his devotees more than devotees actually find pleasure in serving him. He enjoys serving his devotees. But we have to make the effort and he reciprocates. Okay, so I'll stop there. Any questions, comments? Yes, Prabhu.
So is the distraction of the mind greater than the distraction of the heart?
Distraction of the mind and the distraction of the heart.
Which one is stronger? And the attraction of the name, does it clear the distraction of the mind?
Attraction or distraction, you're saying?
So there's the distraction of the mind.
Distraction.
And there's the distraction of the heart.
Yeah.
So which one is greater of the distractions?
Well, the mind is a reflection of what's in the heart. Yeah, what's in the heart comes to the mind.
So if the attraction is stronger, the Harinam attraction is stronger, then which one does it go to first, the mind or the heart?
Starts with the mind. We have to bring it into the heart. Allow it to come into the heart by welcoming Krishna when you chant in the form of chanting the holy names. Krishna is situated in your heart anyway. He's present there as super soul. But the mind is the means by which we express what's in the heart and by the means by which we bring in the external environment. So the mind becomes the CEO. He's in charge. And the heart gets dragged along. So first, purify the mind and then gradually you can purify the heart. Because if the mind is not purified, the heart can't receive that purification. So bring Krishna into your mind and then into your heart. That is the procedure, process. That starts in the mind.
This regarding Vyasa Bhagavan, right? So this Upanishad, this holy name is Krishna.
Lord Brahma's statement.
No, my question is the holy name is already given in Kanisantar Upanishad and Vyasa Bhagavan compiled that first, right? Then when he said, okay, detach all this and then you have to tell Bhagavatam, so he has to compile Bhagavatam. But if you logically see, the message is already given in the Upanishad, right? So then everybody is diverted to Bhagavatam.
Yeah, but Bhagavatam is the first is the Brahma Sutras are Brahma Sutras are the Vedas, and then the Vedanta Sutras are the Vedic aphorisms. And to expand on the Vedic aphorisms, that's Vyasadeva wrote it in the form of Bhagavatam.
But the real holy name message is we always refer to Kanisantar Upanishad, where the holy
Well,
name has come.
that kind of consummates the importance of the chanting when you quote the Shrutis. But Krishna also says it in the Bhagavad Gita, one should chant. Satatam Kirtayanto Mami, he also says. And then throughout the scriptures, Srimad Bhagavatam, what is Bhagavatam? Bhagavatam ends by saying, what is the last verse in Bhagavatam? Talks about the glories of chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Sankirtan. That verse culminates all of the teachings in the Bhagavatam. So transcendental knowledge becomes available when we actually purify ourselves through the chanting of the holy name. Therefore, just to have discourses on philosophy is not enough to really bring the audience into the right consciousness. That's why we do discussion and kirtan. And Prabhupada, many times, he saw that people couldn't understand philosophy, so he just did kirtan. Yeah. Kirtan is an experience, but kirtan is also giving you knowledge, cutting away the ignorance of the mind.
So, Maharaj, one question about the offenses.
Does that help?
Okay. So the question is on offenses.
Hare Krishna.
The question is on offenses.
I can hear you.
Yeah.
I'll repeat it.
Yeah. So the question is on offense. How the name of Lord or the holy name is so powerful that it's super powerful, basically, most powerful in the entity world.
Mhm.
So how kind of this clouds of aparad actually kind of covers that living entities receiving that mercy.
The clouds are not as powerful as the sun, but they can cover the sun from our perspective. But if you go above the clouds, you see the sun, even though the clouds are still there. So cutting through the clouds of illusion is part of the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and then it reveals itself gradually. So what is that illusion? What is the basic principle of the illusion? Aham, what is it? Aham, I am this body. Aham mameti. I am this body. This is my wife. This is my husband. These are my kids. This is my house. Janasamoham yam aham mameti. The two illusionary things. I am, this is. We have to go beyond that, realizing that Jiva Sarupai Krishna and Nityadas is our actual identity. Our material identity is transient. It comes and goes according to every body we have. And even within even in the time span of one life, we adopt different identities based on the body. And we connect with different things. And we say, well, this is mine, this is I. But it says Mohan, Janasa Mohan, it's all illusion. Because you're not any of these things. Truth means something that is not challenged by time. So therefore, in the material world, nothing is true because everything changes. So what's true for one time, only it becomes untrue later on. That's the nature of this material world. But one truth that never changes is who you are and your relationship with the Supreme. That's eternal. That's never destroyed, even though you may change millions of bodies. That consciousness or that identity remains fully. We can remember it or we can forget it. Yeah. Even the biggest demon is a spirit soul. But he's thinking he's something else. Yes.
Raj, so once we have the same love in the heart, once we have the same love in the heart, we have attractive love in the heart for the Lord. Does it mean we have superseded the three modes of material nature?
Well, love is in the heart already. Because the heart refers to, in this case, that the position of the soul sits on the heart. That's where you're located in the body. If you want to know where you are, you're in your heart. You're on your heart. You're not in your heart. You're sitting on the heart. The heart's the seat. You are there. This is where you are, the soul. So, yes, when you actually come to the process of loving Krishna, you can't love Krishna from the mode of ignorance or from the mode of passion. You can develop some affection for Krishna in the mode of goodness, but it doesn't mature until you go beyond that mode of goodness into called suicide or pure goodness, which is transcendental. So yeah, when love develops, true love develops, you're beyond the three modes of material nature. But then again, you also have to maintain that and not become affected by the movements of the material energy. If you stay connected to Krishna, then you're not connected to this material energy because Krishna is above the material energy. He's transcendental to this whole. So when you connect with Krishna, you also become transcendental to this material energy. Yeah. Okay, so yes, Lalita, how do you?
Thank you so much, Lord. My question is that, Mahaprabhu when he was doing Kirtan.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was.
When he was doing Kirtan in Shiva Sangan and that brahmachari, the Brahmin was there.
Yeah.
How the presence of the Brahmin is affecting Chaitanya Mahaprabhu experience.
Lord Chaitanya, in that particular mood of kirtan, only allowed his most intimate associates, those who are already reached the love of pure love of God. So it's also, I don't know if I can use this as a comparison, but when you're doing kirtan, if half the people in the place are not in the kirtan is really hard, it struggles. When everyone is working together, the kirtan just takes off. So therefore, we all have influence. And so a negative influence may also affect something on a positive level, which doesn't change the positive, but it makes it less, the experience becomes less. So that was the case with Lord Chaitanya. And that happened a few times. That wasn't that one incident, was just, it was only one when Srivas's mother-in-law was hiding in the house. And also when Srivas's son died in the house, Lord Chaitanya, when he finished his kirtan after 7.5 hours, and then at the end he said, I feel like there's some calamity happened in this house. And he went to Srivas and he said, Srivas, is there any calamity that happened? Srivas said, when you're here, how can there be any calamity? But then he said, well, since you asked, my son died. Oh, really? When? Oh, about 7.5 hours ago. So he said, take me to him. And he was in the back room of the house, away from the main room. And the one was laying there, and he had left his body. The relatives were still mourning over the loss of the boy. Lord Chaitanya walked in, put his hand on the boy's chest and said, where have you gone, O son of Srivas? The boy sat up. He looked around, said, where am I? Who are these people? He said, my dear Lord, you're asking me where did I go? I'm on, by your will, I went on going on to my next body. And so then the boy sat down and died again. And all the relatives got enlightened that the difference between the body and the person is two different things. So everyone saw that. So there were many incidents where Lord Chaitanya's kirtan was somewhat apparently interrupted or disturbed by certain energies that shouldn't have been there. He could feel it. We can also sense that too. Many times we can feel there's some negative energy around us and we can't really get past it for some reason. That happens. Anything else? Yes.
One last one. How can we love more, and how can we love less to love money less and love Krishna more? Because we all work.
Krishna more.
We all work to gain.
Give your money to Krishna.
How do we work less to love more?
Wow. By serving Krishna, you actually develop attraction for Krishna. And when the attraction turns into attachment, then affection starts to develop and then love follows. So it's really putting Krishna in your consciousness more and less time with money consciousness. Prabhupada said, money is a false foundation for human culture because human culture is not based on something material, it's based on values, moral values, family values, human values, and ultimately spiritual values. But everything nowadays moves by money. If you have money, you can do things. If you have money, you can cheat and cover all of your cheating just by paying off some money. So everything now is money, 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 money. And that's why people are lost, because they accepted this false sense of happiness. Because you can't love money. Money is an inanimate object. And anyway, it's not valid, it's not worth anything anyway, it's just a piece of paper. If you really want wealth, you need precious metals. If you really want wealth, get land. If you really want wealth, have animals. These are the three ways to wealth. Paper money is not wealth, it's just a piece of paper. Mr. Modi showed that twice. He pulled, I was in India during that time, he pulled back the 2000 note. And you had to prove that you had earned the money before you could exchange it. And people couldn't prove it, so they were burning money in the streets. I saw that. So-called money. And then 3 years ago, he did it again. Okay? So you never know what Trump's going to do. He's going to say, well, actually, I have I'm going to start a new whole system of money, and all your money is useless, so now you can start all over again and earn from me. You never know what he's going to do next. He doesn't know what he's going to do next. So anyway, it's a false form of security. Money can't save you. It has value for doing things, but actually the heart is not charmed by something material. What makes the heart happy is relationships. When you have what we say wonderful relationships with devotees or with Krishna, you're happy. Happiness is relationship, nothing else. We're all looking for those relationships amongst our friends, family members, and ultimately Krishna. When we find that relationship, then our life becomes happy. When the relationships break down, then we experience sadness or unhappiness. Life is just about relationships. Finding that perfect relationship. When you find it in Krishna, then you can also find it through other people. So it starts with Krishna. Yeah, is that all right? Thank you for your questions, really tough ones. No, thank you. And thanks for bringing up these points, which is really important to hear. Anything else before we move on? I think that's about it. So, should we do kirtan for a few minutes and then have prasad, or should we go right into prasad?
Kirtan.
Archana, what should we do? Kirtan? Okay. You're gonna have to stay overnight now. We got plenty of room there. All right, so Atharva, want to jump onto your harmonium there? Or Mridanga, actually Mridanga.
Yeah. Is there another one?
No, you can take this one.
We'll do a quick kirtan.
Can we get 2 minutes? Announcement for the books.
Okay, go ahead. Do you need a mic?
My dad doesn't need my so.
So, dear devotees, these are the books written by Maharaj. Maharaj is taking a lot of efforts in writing the. Show me one or two books here. This is the book talking about all the experiences he had with the different devotees through prison system. Krishna's way of natural living, how we should go back to the origins, roots. He has 2 series of this daily nectar drops. This is volume 2. Do we have volume 1 here?
Yes, they were like little statements of truth, aphorisms.
So, and there is a new book here now with travel diary, which is Maharaja's travel within Europe and India. Anybody who is inspired to read and gain the benefit of Maharaja's experience and knowledge and his spiritual blessings to us, please go ahead, approach Balram Prabhu, Ramti Mataji, and we will be able to share these books with you. Maharaj, this is the new one, right?
That's the one book we don't have is the newest one. It's called Sannyas.
Yeah, the Sannyas and new book.
Sannyas. Do we have the Sannyas book yet?
Sannyas? Not relevant for.
But that one is quite current. Because the beautiful pictures in it, right? Even if you can't read, just look at the pictures. Pictures are nice. Okay, so ready to go? So we're asking everyone to dance in this one.
They don't.
Ready? Hare Hare Namo Krishna Hare Hare Hare
Shri Chaitanya Nitai, Jai Nimai, Jai Nitai, Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadara, Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhatta Vrinda, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Charlie,